Oh, today's going to be an abbreviated show. Um, I switched it up. I was going to do the AFC West schedule breakdown, and just I didn't have enough time. I'm up against it time wise, so I switched gears. We're going to talk about the Kyler Murray deal, the ripple effect of that, and any ramifications that may come from that. Then we'll jump into a little bit of a flashback Friday show, jump into some remember when, and then give you that part two, that long awaited part two of the Madden in the Trap House story. So let's not delay. Let's get straight to the proceedings this evening. You are locked in to the 277th installment of the Louie Tee Network podcast that starts now. Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie Tee? Welcome to the 277th installment of the Louie Tee Network podcast. I, of course, am your set man, Louie Tee. Thank you for joining me. Everybody's jumping on this alternate helmet train, and most of the alternate helmets are black. We'll talk about that next week. Maybe there'll be 2 or 3 more by the time we get around to it, but the Jets have an alternate helmet that's black. The Eagles have an alternate helmet that's black. The Panthers have an alternate helmet now that they'll be unveiling this year. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that is black. Obviously, Washington has new uniforms, and they have a black helmet that's alternate. I'm probably missing a couple. The Bengals have, I think, the dopest alternate helmet I've ever seen in my life. That white and black striped helmet that they're going to unveil this year with the white unis. Whoo, that is clean. But we'll get to that next week. I want to start off tonight's show by jumping into Kyler Murray's deal. And so that's where we'll start on the Gem Droppin Session. Let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie Tee. Let me open you up, get you thinking a little bit. So Kyler Murray signs, and I want to get the figures right here because I don't want to omit anything. $230.5 million deal for Kyler Murray, 160 of it fully guaranteed, 5 years on the deal. That's Deshaun Watson territory. Outside of the guarantees where Watson's deal is damn near fully guaranteed. That's a lot of money for a guy that really hasn't done much of anything in the league in terms of, going to the postseason and winning. But the upside on Kyler Murray is through the roof. I've talked about this already. I don't love him, from a teammate standpoint. I think he is a guy that is selfish. I think he's a guy that is not willing to accept the blame, even if it's not his fault. As a quarterback, you have to be willing to bite the bullet and say, hey, that's on me. That's what a quarterback does. When you win, you get all the praise and the accolades. When you lose, as a quarterback, you fall on the sword. I don't think he's willing to do that. I think he wants to point fingers. When he throws a pick and a guy runs the wrong route, he makes sure that everyone knows that guy ran the wrong route. He's putting his hands in the air. He's putting his hands on his helmet. He's doing everything to show that guy up. And we talk about receivers not showing up the quarterback. It goes both ways. Quarterback can't show up the receiver. After the playoff loss last year, he was pointing fingers and making sure that it wasn't my fault we lost the game, and everyone's trying to blame me. Hey, dude, you weren't good. Your team wasn't good. Suck it up and shut up and get ready to play next year and try to be better. So I don't think he is the kind of guy you're looking for in terms of leadership qualities at the quarterback position, but the talent speaks for itself. He's a phenomenal athlete, a massive thrower of the football. And I think the best of Kyler Murray is yet to come, which is why the Cardinals were willing to do this so soon, because they did not have to do this yet. I think we're now going into year 4 of Kyler Murray. And so just made the postseason for the first time last year. And, he started out the season like gangbusters last year. Then he got injured. He came back from the injury. He was not good after that injury, including the playoff performance against the Rams in Wild Card Weekend. So I think the Cardinals mindset is we're expecting the first half of the season, when the Cardinals were 7-0 and the last undefeated team in the league left, Kyler Murray, and not the guy that got back into the season that finished up 2-5 on the season and struggled, to the finish line and then limped into the postseason and got destroyed by the Los Angeles Rams. I think they're expecting the Kyler Murray that showed up at the beginning of the season that was outstanding, and they're going to need him to show up and earn this contract without DeAndre Hopkins. And I really felt like the downturn of the season for the Cardinals coincided with DeAndre Hopkins' injury. They were never the same team, if you ask me, offensively, and that kind of bled into the defense struggling a bit down the stretch. So I think that he's going to have to step up. And yes, it's great that he's getting an ex-college teammate that he has a great relationship on and off the field with, in Hollywood Brown, who they traded with during the 2022 NFL draft. But he's going to have other guys step up. There's no more Christian Kirk, so they're going to need other players to step up. They spent a second-round pick on the Purdue wide receiver last year. He's going to have to step up, probably going to have a much bigger role in the offense this year. Obviously, A.J. Green. It's A.J. Green is back like cook crack for his second year in Arizona. They're going to need him to step up, especially during this stretch where there's no Nuke Hopkins. And obviously, you bring on Hollywood Brown. He's been a bit of a disappointment, if you ask me, in the NFL to this point. I would love to see him return to that Oklahoma version of himself, where I thought he was the best receiver in that particular draft class. I'd like to see him return to that form this season, and maybe he will now that he's playing with a guy in Kyler Murray that he played with in college at Oklahoma and made such beautiful music with before. But this is a massive deal for Kyler Murray, and the interesting part about this deal is there was a lot being made about Lamar Jackson showing up to the Baltimore Ravens facility 5 minutes after this deal came down the news wire. And there was a lot of speculation that now that Murray got his deal done, Lamar was ready to sit down and come to the table with the Ravens and try to hammer something out. Maybe he was waiting to see what kind of a deal Murray would get, because they have similar play styles. And he said, if Murray gets X amount of dollars, then I need to be paid more because I'm a better version of Kyler Murray. I'm a league MVP. I've done it for a much longer period of time and at a higher level than that of Kyler Murray. So if he's getting 230, then I need 250. And if he's getting 160 of it guaranteed, I need 180 of mine guaranteed. So I don't know if that is actually taking place in Baltimore as we speak. Is Lamar ready to sit down and come to the table? By all accounts, Lamar is kind of portraying a picture like he wants a new contract in Baltimore, and the Ravens are saying, look, we've extended the olive branch multiple times. He doesn't really want to talk about new money right now. So, ball's in his court. So I really don't know what's going on. That's a very convoluted situation in Baltimore right now. But I can tell you this much. If Kyler Murray is getting this, and we know the number always goes up. Okay. The next guy is the next highest guy. We talk about that all the time. So when Deshaun Watson set that bar at $230 million, which is why Kyler Murray is 230.5, because again, in the NFL, guys are petty. They want to be the highest paid. So you go up a step and say, hey, I'm the highest AAV in the league because of that 0.5. So obviously, if this is what Kyler Murray is getting, Lamar's going to say, okay, I need more than that, right? So it'll be interesting to see the ripple effects from this deal, because again, there's not a real big body of work for Kyler Murray, other than the talent. And we can see it. We know when we see it. The guy's super talented. The guy has what it takes to play at a very high level in this league. And the Cardinals have done a really solid job of surrounding him with playmakers. And so I don't doubt that he'll be able to maximize his talents. I love Cliff Kingsbury. And remember, I was on the Cliff Kingsbury train before anybody else was. Everybody was poo-pooing the move and telling the Cardinals that they were out of their damn minds for bringing in a guy that couldn't get it done at the collegiate ranks, that stunk as a coach at Texas Tech and got fired. Why give him an opportunity? And the only thing I couldn't defend is, I'm like, it's brothers out here that are qualified, that are looking for work, that you're passing over for a guy that got canned at Texas Tech with a losing record. But I said, one thing I can't say about Cliff Kingsbury, the defense at Texas Tech couldn't stop a nosebleed, but boy, they were ringing up the points offensively. Cliff Kingsbury knows what he's doing offensively. That's for damn sure. So I was a huge proponent of them getting Cliff Kingsbury, and they had the number 1 overall pick, and I knew they were going to spend it on Murray. And I said, that's a match made in heaven. And it has been to this point, but now it's time for Kyler Murray and that offense and that team overall to take the next step. This contract says we're ready for you to take that next step, and we need you to be a much bigger leader on this team as well. We'll see if he can uphold his end of the bargain, but the Cardinals clearly have upheld their end of the bargain with this massive $230.5 million contract. Really, the $160 million guarantee is the part that really sticks out here, because he absolutely just got to the bag, did Kyler Murray. And again, for a guy that hasn't done anything in this league, that kind of money you hand out to a guy that's played in an NFC championship game, that in his first 3 seasons has gone to the postseason twice, won 3 postseason games, and you're like, we're on the precipice of doing something big. He doesn't have that kind of a resume. So this kind of money, it feels like the Cardinals were backed into a corner. Kyler Murray backed them into a corner and said, hey, I need my money and I need it now. And they didn't have an option. You can't let generational, I don't want to call it a generational talent. You can't let talents like that at the quarterback position leave. We've seen teams make mistakes with opportunities to lock up guys. And so you don't want to put yourself in that position if you're Arizona. They did what they had to do. You don't have to necessarily agree with what they did, but they did what they had to do. And in this league, if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a chance. They've got a really good one in Kyler Murray, and they lock him up for the next 5 years. $230.5 million overall on the deal, 160 of it guaranteed for Kyler Murray. So, AFC West breakdown will be on Monday, I believe. I'll be back with the podcast next week, because next week is when teams really are going to be heading training camp. So I think you might get 3 podcast episodes next week as we really start to ratchet it up. But in any event, let's now transition to our Flashback Friday segment of the show. And we start out with Remember When. Ah, yes. Remember when. Always like taking those trips down memory lane, you know. And Remember When is one of those trips down memory lane. Y'all remember when fights by throwing projectiles were fun? So this is one of those kids don't go outside anymore type of old man get off my lawn comments, you know, right here. And kids don't go outside anymore. You know, they don't go outside. That's one of the problems I have with the kids of today. They're on their phones, you know, they're playing video games, and I play video games too. I can't sit here and act like I was always outside, right? But I was outside quite a bit, okay? These new kids, they don't know nothing about being outside. But, and look, the things we were doing weren't the safest, okay? They were caveman type behaviors, but still, they were fun. I wouldn't advise any young kids out there to partake in any of the shit that I'm about to talk about, at least not the, you know, acorn fights. You know, so have you ever had an acorn fight or a pine cone fight? Pine cones don't travel as far, acorns do. They hurt like hell, but if you've got aim, boy, you can be dangerous in one of those acorn fights. But remember water balloon fights? Like, do kids even know what a water balloon is or looks like? I don't know if there are water balloon fights anymore. That was a staple in the summertime. Soon as we got out of school, when are we having a water balloon fight? Whose water bill are we going to run up, going to your faucet outside? Your mom and dad have no idea that we're out here running up their water bill at the spigot outside of the house, filling up water balloons to have a water balloon fight. Do kids even have water balloon fights anymore? Like, that's a lost treasure. I enjoyed those thoroughly. Don't spray me with no water hose. I don't want to fight with super soakers. Were so stupid. You barely got wet. They were hard. You had to pump them up. That shit was overrated. Okay. Give me an old-fashioned water balloon and let me go to work. Those were so much fun. I really enjoyed water balloon fights. I mean, to the umpteenth degree. I can't remember the last time I've had one. I've got water balloons upstairs in my house right now that are waiting to be blown up. But I can't tell you the last time I've had a good old-fashioned water balloon fight. I'd like to partake in one of those. Man, I remember when. Those were the days. I feel like an old man. I'll be turning 36 tomorrow. I feel like an old man. But damn it, water balloon fights. Those were the days. Remember when? Andrew Luck retired, I think it's the most shocking retirement since Barry Sanders in the NFL. No one saw it coming. You know, in today's news media cycle, nothing gets by. Somebody's got the inside track on what's about to go down, and we know what's going to happen before it happens because everybody's racing to get to the news first. So whether it's Ian Rappaport or it's Adam Schefter or it's some insider, somebody's going to get to the news and report it before it happens. That Andrew Luck retirement during a preseason game, nobody saw it coming. It blindsided everyone. It was one of those, oh my God moments. And the Indianapolis Colts went from, hey, they're going to win a Super Bowl probably here in the next 4 or 5 years with Andrew Luck, to, oh my God, the Indianapolis Colts suck. Just like that. Now, they've tried 5 starting quarterbacks over the last 5 years. They've tried to, you know, pick up the pieces. They've never been the same since Andrew Luck retired. And it's because they beat the hell out of that man. He had so many injuries trying to fight through and play football for a team that did him a disservice by not protecting him. And you know, the irony of the situation is that they had an ironclad offensive line by the time he retired. But it was too damn late. The damage had already been done. And I remember watching all of those, you know, NFL sound effects and Andrew Luck getting clobbered and him going nice hit to the guy that clobbered him. And it was like 20 different times that he took a massive shot and he taps the guy on the helmet and he says, nice hit. And there's only so many of those you can take before you're like, you know what? I had enough of this shit. You know, guys playing with all kinds of injuries. I mean, myriad of injuries. And then obviously the one that really put him down for good was the shoulder injury. Just never recovered from that shoulder injury. And he didn't have the velocity on the football. It just wasn't the same. So, man, what he could have been. I feel like how I felt when Barry Sanders retired. Felt robbed of an NFL career that had so much more to give. And he was just scratching the surface. 7 years in the league. That was it for Andrew Luck. Didn't even feel like 7 years. But it was 7 years of Andrew Luck. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was 7 years of Andrew Luck. Yikes. In 2019, he retired. I would say it was either the preseason of 2019 or the preseason of 2020. I think it was the preseason of 2019. And it's just crazy that he retired. It's wild. Anyway, remember when light-skinned brothers were in? Now, let me say this first. I don't promote colorism within our community. It is an issue. I don't like it. It's disgusting to me. So let me just say that. I say this in all jest. This is funny to me. I'm not being serious here. I'm being facetious. You guys know me. You know I don't care about this stuff. I got a wife. I'm good. I'm secure in who I am, what I am, who I look like, all of that good stuff. But there was once upon a time when light-skinned brothers were in, man. We could do no wrong. And it was really during the 80s. All right. There was Mike Jack before the bleaching of the skin. It was Prince. It was El DeBarge. You know, it was Albie Shore, Special Ed. I mean, I could go on and on. Light-skinned brothers were the shit. And then it was around like 1991, 92. You get Wesley Snipes. And then really it was Morris Chestnut. Those two brothers there single-handedly brought the light-skinned brother empire crumbling to its foundation. They could kick rocks as far as I'm concerned. Those two brothers hit the mainstream and changed the game forever. And I don't feel like we ever really got back on our feet. Drake tried his hardest to bring us back single-handedly. T.I. sprinkled in a little bit of a contribution, but it wasn't enough. You know, the dark-skinned brothers are still running the show. And I don't know if it'll ever really change. The changing of the guard, I don't know if it'll ever change. God damn it, Morris Chestnut. Anyway, I digress. Remember when middle linebackers were like Mack trucks? I think if you really want to go to the essence of how much football has changed, look at middle linebackers in the NFL. And I think that will tell the story. And I always say this, and I'm probably wrong, and there's probably someone else that was the start of ushering in the smaller, undersized linebacker. But I always felt like Ryan Shazier was the poster child for what the future of the NFL middle linebacker looked like. Shazier came in the league, and he couldn't have been any more than 225, maybe 230 at max. But I'm thinking Ryan Shazier was more like 215, 220, 225, somewhere in there. And the dude flew around. Obviously, that led to his injury and how he did play the game with this reckless abandon that I think everyone loved. It was so beautiful to watch. You hated that it ended the way that it did for him. Glad to see that he's up and walking again. But he was a menace, and he was undersized, and nobody cared because of how he played the game. And now that I think that has spawned guys like the maniac Darius Leonard in Indianapolis and so many other guys that are undersized at the linebacker position. Now you have to be able to run. But remember when there were 270-pound middle linebackers like Levon Kirkland? The guy was a Mack truck at middle linebacker. Are you kidding me? He ran a 4.9 at the combine. Could you imagine a linebacker running a 4.9 today? He wouldn't even get drafted. He'd be lucky to make the team on special teams running a 4.9. Levon Kirkland ran a 4.9, and he was 260 pounds on a good day. But more likely than not, you would catch Levon Kirkland during the regular season at 275, playing middle linebacker, and damn well, I may add, for the Pittsburgh Steelers, then the Seattle Seahawks, and then the Philadelphia Eagles. Think about Jeremiah Trotter chopping wood. Slice into the backfield, make a tackle, get up, bow, drop the hammer, drop the axe. Jeremiah Trotter was a solid 260. They don't make them like that anymore. And frankly, you can't play with linebackers that big anymore. Go look at how Ray Lewis looked. Ray Lewis looked like he was like two, and he wasn't as big because Ray Lewis was a shorter guy, but Ray Lewis looked like he was about 255. He probably was more like 245. But he looked huge. Guys, you can't put linebackers in the game that look like that anymore. It's crazy. But the game's changed. And to me, that's one of the positions that has had to evolve because of how offenses have evolved. They have been forced to adjust, or you get left in the dust. And middle linebacker for me is one of those positions where you just go watch a game from 1993 and you're like, oh my God, this looks so different than what today's football looks like. I mean, and honestly, you turn on a game from 1999 and you're going to feel the same way. It's a massive difference, night and day. Remember when school field trips were school field trips? Do kids even get to experience what it's like to go on a real field trip? I don't even know if these schools even allow kids to go on real field trips anymore. I feel so bad for the youth of America. I really, truly do. They don't get to experience so many of the joys of going to school, because school isn't fun unless you allow it to be fun. And with these standardized tests, it's so much harder for them to enjoy going to school, because everything is centered around them getting to school and being put in a position to pass these standardized tests. That's how these schools become and stay accredited. And so the emphasis that's put on passing these tests, whether you're in Virginia and it's the standards of learning, which we call the SOLs, or you live in a different state and there's a different standardized test that you're taking, it to me has watered down not only the fun factor of school, but it's also watered down what these kids leave, grades 1 through, K through 12 knowing. Because I can tell you this, a lot of these kids don't even know how to write in cursive. I learned how to write in cursive in the 2nd grade. These kids don't even know how to sign their name. You give them a document and say, hey, sign that. They don't know how to write in cursive, so they can't put their signature on a document. It's pathetic. I blame this on the school system. I really, truly do. All of this shit that they force you to try to learn that you will never use again in your life versus shit that you actually can take into the real world that are applicable, that you should know how to do. But that's a different story for another day. Maybe we'll come back to that another time. In the 6th grade, I had the most fun in my life of any grade in school because of the field trips that we went on. And you can't go on field trips like these anymore. It's just not allowed. Too much nonsense would happen. It's a different day and time, and I get it. I remember when you used to they would take you and teach you how to swim while you were in school. They would literally take you to a pool. You had to get your permission slip signed. Obviously, your parents had to give them permission to take their kid to a pool. But they would my sister learned how to swim in school because they took them in the 4th grade to swim. In 6th grade, we went to camp. They would take us every year, 6th grade. They would take the 6th graders. If you were good, you would go to this place called Camp Young. And you would stay there overnight for 2 nights. It was 3 days, 2 nights. During the school year, you would go on a field trip to Camp Young and stay for 3 days, 2 nights. It was the most fun ever, sneaking out of the cabins and trying to go see where the girls were. It was so much fun. These kids will never experience anything like that. We had all these clubs and groups. I went to the Smithsonian when I was in the 9th grade. These kids that's out of state. These kids will never go anywhere. So it's amazing looking back at how much we were able to do and how little these kids are able to do. It's amazing. My 3rd grade teacher was teaching us German. That's the shit you could do because you didn't have to worry about teaching and having the curriculum set for the SOLs, which is the grade you start taking SOLs in, is the 3rd grade. I could talk about this all day long, but field trips used to be really, really legit school field trips. Now, the school lunch, don't get me started on those that they gave you on those field trips. Always bring your own lunch. But man, school field trips, legit. Anyway, I digress. Remember when Napster and LimeWire changed the game? Oh my God. You'd spend hours and hours and hours and hours downloading music. I can't tell you how many customized CDs, mixed CDs that I made. I thought I was some kind of DJ. I had my little Sharpies writing down, what this CD was called. I'm so glad we don't have to do that anymore. I'm being nostalgic and I'm reminiscing about all the things that were great in yesteryear. This is not one of them. Okay. Downloading music was a pain in the ass because you could get a track, somebody would have a little skip in it, it would mess up, or and now you got to go find another one. And it could take you hours to do that. I would download songs and I would just leave the computer and just let them download because it's going to take a while, right? I'm so glad that everything that I want to listen to is literally at the touch of my fingers, literally in the palm of my hand, whether it's Tidal or it's Apple Music or it's Spotify. I'm so glad that everything that I could ever want to listen to is literally in the palm of my hand. That was a pain in the ass, but it was better than the alternative at the time, which was having to buy an entire CD for just 1 or 2 songs that you really wanted to hear. So now you could just go and take that song and rip it, put it on a CD. Oh man. What a time to be alive that was, when the music industry was turned upside down. Because nobody was no longer buying CDs or any of that stuff. We make our own shit. They had to figure out a way. That's when streaming really started. They had to kind of figure out, how do we, combat this? And I think that was literally the impetus to figure out a way to get credit for the music, because people were burning shit. You'd have a CD coming out, and that whole CD would be, you could buy that at the barbershop for $5. That CD ain't coming out till next week on Tuesday. Well, I can get the shit right now at the barbershop. Somebody's already burnt that shit, ripped it. They selling it at the barbershop for $5. They had to figure it out, and they had to figure it out fast because people have always find a way to hustle. So those were the days, man. I do not miss those days, however. Anyway, so I remember when. Do you? And so let's finish up this show with story time with me, your man, Louie Tee. So I got to pick up where I left off in the story. Last time we were talking about the Madden in the Trap House story. I was giving you background information. I was setting the scene. And I left you off at me being at my guy's house, playing a game, knock at the door, transaction takes place, and I got my ass whooped that night. Lost about $200. I was not pleased. And so what we used to do, so me and my best friend, we had this thing called a Madden meltdown. And we would take pride and pleasure in forcing the other to have a Madden meltdown. What is a Madden meltdown? So on the game, obviously you would find the team that you played best with, that best suited your skill set, whatever you wanted to do. Offensively, defensively, you would try to find a team that fit what you wanted to do. And a Madden meltdown was really simple. You would go home, you would find a team that you thought was nice. The reason I got so good at remembering who was on what team was because of my love of Madden growing up as a kid. I could tell you the third string offensive guard on the Kansas City Chiefs back in 2004 because I'm going through these rosters 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm looking at the same damn team 15 times. I've memorized the roster. I don't even need to look at this shit anymore, but I'm looking at the depth chart. Who can I move? How can I figure this out? I got my ass whooped at his house, the guy that I was playing, I lost the money to, with the Indianapolis Colts. You know, Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison, Joseph Adai, that group. Got my ass whooped. And I thought I was good with those boys. And so what a Madden meltdown is when you realize this team ain't it. And generally what you do is you go home, you find a team, you beat the shit out of the computer on all Madden. I'm talking about I need to be winning by 40, 50 points against the computer on all Madden. Now you're thinking your shit is tight. So now you got to take it to a human, because playing a computer, their mannerisms, you know what they're going to do. It's easy. You're supposed to smoke them. Now I got to do this against a human. And if I can do it against my buddy, my best friend, we were game heads. Like, that's all we did was play Madden in high school, So if I could do it to him, now I know it's legit. His job was to make me feel like, man, you don't get this weak ass team out my face. Now I got to go back to the drawing board. And so a meltdown would be, this team doesn't work. And now you would spend the next 5 hours going through the game and all the rosters again, trying to figure out, okay, what team gives me an advantage? Because this team ain't it. And all we were doing was preparing ourselves for Madden tournaments and trying to win money off of people. And so you had to be legit. Your shit had to be tight. So he beat my ass with the Colts. So I had to go home. I had a Madden meltdown. I came back with the Kansas City Chiefs. And this was Tony Gonzalez. This was Trent Green, Tony Gonzalez, Dwayne Bowe, Sammy Parker on offense. Doesn't sound like much, but they got the job done back in those days, right? And Larry Johnson, Priest Holmes at the running back position. It was a really good offense. Defensively, Tamba Hali and Derek Johnson and Donnie Edwards and guys like that. So it was a quality group defensively. They weren't world beaters by any stretch of the imagination, but they got the job done. So that was the group that I said, all right, I think I can win with this team. And I was putting up numbers offensively. I was getting the job done defensively. And so I was ready to try to go get my money back. So I hit him up like, yo, when's the next time you're available? Me and my man's trying to slide through, trying to see if y'all trying to, put this money up. He's like, yo, I got a spot. I'm like, yo, word, let's go. So he hits us up and he's like, yo, Here's the address, you know, and this is back in the day. There wasn't GPS and shit back in those days. Somebody gave you an address, you know, you had to actually map quest the shit, you know. So he gave us the address. He's like, we don't know where this shit at. He's like, just meet me in my crib. I'll drive. Y'all just follow me. Cool. That sounds like a bet. So we get in the car. We drive over to his house. We go and we drive and we're following him. So I told you I got tunnel vision when it comes to the game. So mentally, I'm trying to prepare myself on how I can win. I'm thinking about all the coverages, all the shit that he did to me defensively the last time that I wasn't able to take advantage of, and how I can combat that. This is the shit that I went home and went in the lab and tried to overcome. So as we're driving, my head's down most of the trip because I'm visualizing how I'm gonna kick his ass. And then I look up and I'm like, where the hell are you taking me? I felt like Dave Chappelle when he was like, you know, all the symptoms of the projects of the hood, gun store, liquor store, gun store, liquor store. It wasn't gun store, liquor store, but we all know, if you've ever been to the hood, you all know that one corner store, and all it takes is one. It's that one rundown, raggedy as hell corner store with like 5 dudes standing outside of it, just congregating, and you see 2 of those, and you're like, wait a minute, this shit is unsafe. Boop, put that lockdown. Boop, roll the window up, and I'm like, we're out in South Norfolk somewhere. I'm like, don't really know these surroundings very well. I'm like, I asked my homeboy, where the hell are you taking me? He's like, bro, I don't know where the hell we going. He said, look, I'm just following him. So we get to our destination. Looks pretty normal initially. We roll up, 2 dudes standing on the porch. Interesting. Both have Glocks on their hips. Another red flag. I mean, I didn't drive. What am I going to do? Get back in the car? I ain't no bitch. So you can't, heart's beating. You know what I'm saying? But you can't let them see you sweating though, right? So I get out the car and my mind's racing like, yo, what the hell is going on? Why are 2 dudes on the porch chilling? You know, clearly they look like thugs. They look like gangsters, right? Why are these dudes on the porch? Are we about to get robbed? I'm like, my boy wouldn't do this to us though. The dude we went there with, like, he's not going to do us like this. So we go in the house and there's nothing in the house but a TV and a PlayStation 2. That is it. No furniture, no nothing. Okay. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And just a bunch of dudes. Right? So a dude goes around the corner, grabs a little crate, sits down, and is like, y'all playing or what? You damn right we playing. I didn't come all this way to not play Madden. So we sit down, we start playing Madden. Sure enough, I see some lights pull up out the window because it ain't no blinds, it ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? And a transaction takes place. I'm like, really? Is that what we doing here? And all of a sudden, and everybody in this room except me and my homeboy have guns. So if some shit goes down, we're the only ones not in a position to protect ourselves, right? And I'm thinking to myself, how in the hell did I get here? This is all in the name of Madden. Like, bro, you are tripping. You don't know if these dudes gonna rob you once they see you got money on you or what. You don't know what's about to happen. But damn if I ain't pick them sticks up and deliver some ass whoopings. Got my money back and then some. Walked away with $500 that night, feeling damn good about myself. But damn if I won't scared. And you know what? I've always said this about myself. When the pressure is its greatest, I perform the best. Pressure either busts pipes or produces diamonds. I'm a diamond producer. I always do my best work when Shit is uncomfortable. I always tell the youth of America, learn to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. I've probably never been more uncomfortable in my life than standing up in that room, in that house with no furniture, just a TV and a PlayStation, and a bunch of thugs, street dudes, hustlers, playing Madden. I would not sit down. I was not comfortable enough to sit down, Indian style. What the hell I look like sitting down Indian style in the trap house? Wasn't gonna happen. Stood up the entire time. But I bust that ass though. Soon as the shit was over, my homeboy was like, yo, you ready? You damn right I'm ready. Let's get the hell out of here and fast. Okay? I see my guy Mike Lowry saying, I bet they had a stove. You damn right they had a stove in the kitchen. You damn right they had a stove in the kitchen. And it was getting some use too. Okay? Again, rule number 3, mind your damn business. Mind the business that pays you. Okay? Mind the business that pays you. I was not there to criticize. I was not there to worry about what was going on in the kitchen, although I did take a little peek, see. Okay, because to get to the bathroom, you had to pass the kitchen. So did a little, yeah. As soon as this is over, it's time to get the hell out of Dodge. So I can tell you one thing. Madden easily could have been the death of me because I was so naive. I was willing to go to great lengths to chase that bread playing Madden. I loved Madden growing up. Like, it was an addiction. I spent way more hours than I would like to admit playing Madden. And I really think I could have been a much better athlete had I put in as much effort, dedication, and work into my craft as I did playing Madden. I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking to you right now. I probably would have been playing some type of sport or coaching something or doing something more involved with a sport that I loved. But I spent that time playing Madden, man. It's one of the regrets that I have that I didn't pour more into the talent that I was blessed with. Instead, I used that to play Madden. But I can tell you this. It was one of those nights I'll never forget. That was the most money I ever made playing Madden, because this is the thing you got to know about hustlers. They'll bet on anything. Okay? 2 roaches racing. Hey, I got the roach on the left, because they got money to blow. So everybody wanted to side bet. Bro, I got my mans right here. What you saying? I got a dub on my man. Well, I'm going to take your dub. I'm going to take your 40. That's how I came away with 500. Took his dub, took his 25, took his 50 spot. Oh, you want to put, hey, you want to double down? Hey, 100 then. What you trying to do? Cleaned up. Damn, it was a nice night, man. For one night and one night only, I can say this. Damn, it felt good to be a gangster. And trust me, I'm no gangster, okay? Far from it, okay? But I felt like one that night, boy, because I was taking everybody's money. I would never do that shit again, though. The first question I would always ask after that night, when anybody say, hey, you trying to play Madden, where the hell are we playing at? I need a safe, secure location. Because anything could have happened. Somebody could have tried to rob the spot. Somebody could have came and shot the house up. I don't know what these dudes out here doing in these streets. I don't know what vendettas they have. I don't know what the hell's going on. One minute I could be playing Madden, the next minute I might be ducking for my life. I don't know what the hell. I could walk out of the house and they think I'm somebody else and they just start letting off. You have no idea what could transpire, which is why I was never comfortable. When I play the game, my palms get sweaty. My palms were my hands were soaked. And it had nothing to do with playing the game that night. Nothing. And I kept pacing back and forth in circles. After every snap, I turn and I walk and I come back. All right, we got this. Back and forth, back and forth. Not only nervous about the game, but nervous about where the hell I'm playing this game at. Anyway. Whew. I made it home that night and I told God, I said, God, I will never again do that. You have no worries. You don't have to worry about the kid ever putting you in a position where I'm praying to you to get me home safely because of Madden. It will never happen again. But I wouldn't take it back. Those kinds of experiences, they shape and they mold you. Okay. and they help you become the person that you ultimately are. So that's one of those days that I said, okay, I ain't no bitch. I ain't no thug, but I ain't no bitch. Sometimes you just got to be tested like that. If only they could hear me. I was screaming like a bitch on the inside. Ah! But again, never let another man see you sweat. Never. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me. Your man, Louie Tee, and Storytime with Louie Tee in another installment of the Louie Tee Network podcast and another Flashback Friday episode. You guys waited for it. I hope it was worth the wait. I'm sorry it took so long to get you that entire story, but I'm glad you finally have it now. So with that said, you guys enjoy your weekend. And you know I will. My birthday is tomorrow. I look forward to enjoying the day. I'm not doing anything. So the birthday trip is next week. So I'm just going to sit back, relax. I got a lot of house, keeping to do. So I'll be at work grinding over the weekend, but I'm going to take a opportunity to sit back and reflect. I'm not a big birthday guy anyway. My wife is a massive birthday person. So I could never have a birthday go by and us do nothing. So we're going to do something, but I'm going to enjoy the weekend, as should you. And when we reconvene next week, it's football time. Okay. The wait is over. Camp gets underway. We'll be counting down the days until the start of the preseason with the Hall of Fame game. And then next thing you know, we're off and running and there's no turning back at that point. Bart Scott can't wait. I've got a super chat, though. I think I got one super chat. Let me knock this out before I get out of here. Door Gunner, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Door Gunner, writes, I am so old, Lou. I had to wait for the radio to play the song that I wanted. Hit record on my cassette player. Our mixtapes were awful. I'm old enough to know what that's like. My sister used to do the exact same thing, and then play that shit over and over again till the tape pops. Again, these kids will never know how good they have it, but that was an experience. Listening to the radio, waiting for them to play the song, and then you gotta hit it at the right moment. Again, what a time to be alive. Anyway, thank you for all the happy born day wishes. You guys enjoy your weekend. Take care. God, you know what it is. Get off the bench, get in the game, and kick it with me, your man, Louie Tee. Until next time, you guys, take care. God bless, and good night. Louie Tee Network.